Hello and welcome again to QEDNG. My name is Olumide Iyanda. Today, I have another of my friends with us at QEDNG. So, she has a BSc in architecture from the University of Jos. She is an alteration expert. She will explain what that means to me. But you are likely to know her more as an actress. She is Iya Onidiri in Itura on African Magic. In case you don't know who Iya Onidiri is, she's the village, I think she's the village gossip, fondly known as Radio Ibaokuta Gossips. Eyiyemi Rogbinyin, welcome to QEDNG.
Thank you.
Are you by any chance like Radio Ibaokuta?
Unfortunately, no. or fortunately, no. I do not believe in spreading gossip. I don't think there's nothing in it. If somebody confides in you, hold it. And if you're going to spread it, keep the person anonymous.
So how is playing Radio Ibaokuta in Itura?
It was quite exciting, actually. First and foremost, because it was an epic, right? And then we could not speak Lagos Yoruba. So we had a cultural consultant who, when you're like, no, as the guy used to have, backflips. No, why did you? So for me, when I realized that we had a cultural consultant, I would go to him the day before and say, okay, I'm supposed to say this in Yoruba. This is what I think I should say. How should I say it? And then he would say it and I'll record it and I'll play it and make sure that I say it. It was an opportunity for me to also work with a phenomenal production company, and it made work easy. So I totally enjoyed it. And then it was in the middle of the forest. So they cleared a part of the forest with permission and they built the set. Absolutely fantastic.
You have a community on social media, community of Itura fans.
Well,
Okay.
Not only Itura. So these people they've had this community for as long as, I think it's about 7 or 8, if not longer than that, years. And they started with the first African Magic series, which I think was Ajoche. And they've kept that community. So they watch the program and then they come on social media and then they discuss it. I particularly enjoy the community because they're not... What surprised me was that they're people like me. So you know how you have this perception that anybody that is on social media, well then, doesn't have work to do. These are people who run their own businesses. Most of them are quite successful at what they do. But they still watch these series and then they come and then they talk about it on their community. So I particularly like engaging with the people that don't like what's happening on the program because I want to know what their thoughts are, what they think that we could have done better, or going forward for me, what I can do better when I'm in another series. And to shock you, when Itura and Covenant and Itura were showing at the same time, when the final episode, they sent some of the principal cast emails asking if they would come for the final premiere or showdown. They got a cinema hall in Ebony Live. They didn't ask us for a kobo. The hall was full from the cast of Itura and Covenant. They gave us the popcorn, we did media, they did backdrop. I was stunned that people were so vested in something that I do to make a living. Phenomenal. They're also very, 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 very active on Twitter. So during the program or just after the program, I go back and I read the comments and I repost it. And amazing. Amazing. But I also have learned that more of the people who watch these series are not on social media. And they're the people that you will not suspect. There's an event we were both at, and I was sitting 2 seats away from a lady who I know. She's a public figure. And apparently she'd been telling the person sitting next to her that she knows that person. So he now turns to me and said, Eyiyemi, she says she knows you. So she now goes, so I was like, oh, that, well, I know you, ma'am. I'm not sure where you know me from. So she was like, ah. She now goes, are you on Itura? I said, Iya Onidiri. She said, in fact, they're wasting my time at this event. She said, because I'm looking at the time, it's 7:30. I'm going. I'm like, I don't understand, ma'am, but you can record it. She goes, what's the fun in that? I don't miss it. I also spoke to a very big caterer who says when she's at an event, that once it's 7 o'clock, she just tells the manager, I'm going home. And that everybody knows that she's going to go and watch Itura. And I thought to myself, one, it means that the production was fantastic. It was true to life. Because if it's not true to life, people will not be leaving what they are doing to go and watch it when you can actually record it and watch it after. I used to have a discuss with somebody who's a financial investor. This guy is no small beans. As in, like, hey, so I knew about the, at that era. So this thing that you people did, I thought it was really good. And so, but why you? And I'm like, Uncle, you're watching very religiously. Like, okay.
Now, let me come in quickly. Itura is an epic.
Yes.
Now, one of the things, people complain about epics a lot in Nigeria, saying that producers they don't pay enough attention to details, especially to historical details, costume and stuff like that. What is your own assessment of Itura as per that?
So I do agree, right? Research on projects. As a journalist, you know that research is time consuming. For a lot of people, they don't think that it's the meat of the matter. They believe that once they've gotten their wardrobe right, they've gotten the right actor who has 20 million followers, that the viewers are not discerning. And that's the biggest mistake. Even a 5-year-old. So I'll give you, before I go on to that research, I'll give you an example. So I have a friend who has a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 2-year-old. She's almost 3. And I was at the house, and so I was like, I want to watch Dust. And she comes in. This is a 2.5-year-old. Looks at the TV. And then turns around and is walking out and says, Auntie Amida, you right? And so, I mean, that's a 2.5-year-old. This was under 5 seconds. So how do I expect that an older person who maybe has knowledge of something that happened in the 17th century of the Yoruba kingdom is not going to see that we have not aligned, or we didn't even open the book. In terms of Itura, they did their research down to how often they change clothes, why they change clothes. Because a lot of people complain on Itura that you guys were wearing the same thing throughout. And my response to them was, look at Victorian movies, right? Whoever the star is, and go and check how many times they repeat outfits. Except they maybe add weight or they move from single to, they don't add to their wardrobe like we do now. I said, so in Itura, they had one basic outfit for those that were the commoners. And then they have one basic outfit for festivals and blah, blah, blah. The people who had more money maybe had a grand total of 6 outfits. Because really, they didn't have washing machines. Where are they going? Is ashoke or woven? You can't wash it every day. Right? So the huts, what the warriors wore, the bush paths, the food, how they served the food, how the water was served, how the huts were built, how the beds were, they did a lot of research. And feedback from majority of the people who watched it was that you could see, you felt that it was authentic. So you can't pull the wool over the eyes of the audience. You can't, no matter how young, how old they are. Take the time to do the research, no matter who commissions you. That's why there's a difference between Hollywood and Nollywood, right? An actor is going to speak another language. They're going to ship him out to that country or find him a voice coach or find him a language coach. Itura had a cultural consultant on set. So we could not speak Lagos Yoruba. It had to be specific. Those are details that we should all have in Nollywood, especially as we're getting projects that are commissioned by streaming platforms because they pay for it.
Okay, now you've spoken about Itura. What about Dust? Another production on African Magic. You played the role of Malaika.
Yes, Hajia
Doherty
Malaika
here.
Doherty, yes.
Okay. Completely different from
Completely
Iya
different.
Onidiri.
Completely different.
Tell me about Malaika.
So Hajia is, because we've done episode 100 now, so I can talk about it. Hajia Malaika is a Hausa lady who marries into a Yoruba family. Strategic about the particular person who she's marrying, because her end goal is to take over her father-in-law's company. In order to do that, she removes him from the picture from the get-go and now deals with her sons and her husband. And nothing stands in her way. If you are an obstacle, she gets rid of you with the speed of light. She does not think about it. She uses everyone and everybody to make sure that she achieves her aim. Some people say, so from the feedback from the community, some people say it's not realistic. And I say to them, well, this is life. Look at anybody in power or anybody that's hungry for power. They find a way to make sure that they get what they want, irrespective of who's standing in their way. I said, so it's very realistic. Very, very realistic. I will tell you that when I saw the script, when I read the script, I thought to myself, how am I going to be able to play this woman? Because I'm not that person. But I guess that's the reason why I'm an actor. There's nothing that she is me. But once you read a script and you can understand the basis for the character, then one should be able to play it off realistically. I know that when Dust started showing, a few people came to me and said they did not believe that this was Iya Onidiri that was doing Malaika. And I'm like, it's a script. It's a script. A 10-year-old said to me, Auntie Yemi, you know, the way she's talking, that's you, but she's a whole lot meaner.
Okay, now, what about feature films? I asked you back there. How often do you appear in feature films?
So, you know, I've been saying this to myself now recently that I came back into the industry in 2021. Acting was never one of the things that I ever thought I was going to do. It wasn't even on the radar. But I was given opportunities to act. I started with stage. So I started with Bumi Davis, who is now the one that produces Alibaba's January 1st show. Bumi Davis used to do stage plays, I think, every month. So the likes of Teju Babyface, actually, was one of the actors. There are a few people now who, even them, you know, all those guys, Kaide Peters. So we all used to, you know, act together. Stage for me is the epitome of acting. See this thing that we're doing on TV? It doesn't come close, but hey. So how often do I appear? Like I said, I've just recently come back. I'm not averse to social media, but I really don't feel that I need to be continually putting myself out there. But work that I've done in Itura and now Dust, I've done a few more in between, have shown people that I can act. I'm now getting requests from people on social media saying, oh, this producer wants your number. In fact, when I've got 2 or 3 and I was thinking, did I not put my number in my bio? So I've gone and put my number on my bio so that when they go into my bio, they can see my number and send me messages. I haven't had the opportunity to do a lot of feature films, but I'm looking forward to those opportunities. The ones that I've done, one is on one of the streaming platforms. It's called The Counselor. And this one was also a totally, completely different character. And I believe that it's not only the actor that makes the character, it's the director. If you have a director who totally understands what they're doing and you're willing to follow this direction, that's why he's a director, then you will get, the best of you will come out. Because they have a picture, they've read the script, they have a picture in their mind.
You're not one of those actors who direct the director?
No, I don't direct the director unless I totally do not get it. And then I now ask, okay, I don't understand this thing. Why do I have to do this? I'll give you an example. There was a scene in Dust where, as the mother, I was planning weddings of my daughter-in-laws. And I come in carrying the stack of fabrics. that will never happen in Africa. But that's what the director wanted. So I said to her, I said, first and foremost, I'm married into a Yoruba family. My sons are Yoruba, right? The girls are not, but they're Nigerians. So there's no way that I'll be carrying a stack of fabrics and they will both be sitting down. But she was like, oh, so one of the younger actresses had complained that, oh, her knee was hurting. The other one, her character was sitting in a wheelchair, which is excusable. So I'm like, it's not possible. I can't be coming from upstairs, downstairs. I'm Malaika Doherty. I don't have help. I won't sequester my children, or I will not have brought... It doesn't make sense. But she wanted it. So I was like, okay. So, I mean, in African setting, and I'm using Africa, I know that I'm going to switch to Yoruba. So, translating that, an older person can't be carrying stuff, and the younger ones are sitting down at. But the director said that's what she wanted, so she did. So I carried the stack. Even the person that handed me the stack was like, ah. And I'd looked at it. So I've tailored for 24 years, right, officially. And I looked at the stack and I knew it was going to be heavy. So I carried it. And as I got down and I got onto the set, I just dropped it on the table and I said to the director, I said, this is not going to work. And she goes, oh, what's the problem? I said, first and foremost, culturally is wrong. Secondly, it's too heavy. So she was like, oh, then she now came. She now carried the pile and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's just leave it on the table and then they can now come and pick from it. So I was like, thank you. But if that is something that they particularly want to see and we know that there's no, so, you know, whatever you say, so how high do you want me to jump? I can jump it. If I can't do it, I'll tell you that, I'm not sure I can do it like this. So can we maybe, but then you come and ask, give me the, no, Shane, I don't do it. I don't do it.
What about production hands? The story in the industry is that a lot of stars don't respect production.
100% true.
What is your own experience with that?
So for me...
first of all, before I ask you what's your... Explain to me what happens.
Okay, so majority of the time, the badly behaved actors, right, do not think that they should come on set that has been already arranged by... Before you come on set, whoever is going to... The set dresser would have cleaned the set, right? You have cleaners. They're there before you wake up. So they've cleaned your set, right? After your cleaners, you have the set dressers. So they come and they build the set, the light people. Sound people would be there, yes, but they will mic you, right? The camera was set up. Camera and light work hand in hand, right? Your wardrobe person, your makeup person, the hair department. People are going to be working with you. No matter, if a feature film takes at least 5 days, and that's if they're rushing it. You're going to work in close proximity with somebody for 5 days. And they greet you in the morning and you answer. Why? Because you're a star. Who you be for now? This person is going, a makeup person's hands are going to be on your face. The SFX person is going to do stuff on your body. And you don't think that you should greet them good morning because you are a star. Then you're badly behaved. And you've just shown that you have no home training and your parents wasted time on you and money. The crew are on set. They start work in some instances 3-4 months before the actor is picked. They're not, some of them have 10, 12, 15 years experience in the industry. Who you be for town? Why won't you say good morning? Because you're in a bad mood. So you think they're not in a bad mood. They're in a very bad mood. They woke up at 4:30. Why you were still sleeping? Your call time is 12. Hello? Can you be nice? So yes, it obtains and it irritates me to the max. Sometimes I cannot stop myself. I go and meet that actor afterwards. I'm like, Gobojo now. Why can't you be respectful? How much older are you than the person?
But some actors and actresses also say
that
the crew members also take advantage of them.
How?
I'm asking them.
I mean, I haven't had any crew member that's taken advantage of me. And I will not say that it doesn't happen because it hasn't happened to me. But yes, so we're all human, right? But it's a conversation that should be had. If somebody disrespects me, how am I going to handle it? Am I going to let it fly? Or am I going to have an outburst? Or am I going to throw a tantrum? Or am I going to do my job and then go later to that person and say, I didn't like the way that you did that. They will really pay me. What did I do to you? There are ways to handle stuff. If you don't put yourself on the ground, nobody will step on you as carpet. It takes two to tango in any situation. So what triggered what? And can both of you behave like adults and resolve it? Because you're going to be working together. So there are some people that will never work. They will never be good. But if once you come on set, drop your whatever outside, please. Let's do the work that we came to do, and then you can settle all your grievances after. So for me, and I say it everywhere, the crew, they're the most valuable players. Every single department. Because half of the time, we actors do not know the conditions in which they have to work. I've been on a set where the set dressers like props. We're not giving money. And they were expected to come to work every day and do. So they've read their script the night before, and then they're still waiting for funds to buy the stuff that they need for the next day's shoot. Half of the time they were dipping hands into their own pockets. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So for actors, and I'm speaking directly to actors who think that the crew members are not worth their time or their effort, better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Do producers treat actors better than they treat crew members?
Sometimes. Sometimes, and you see it is obvious, especially the actors that misbehave or that think that they're better than other people. And I've asked, and I ask, I'm like, I don't understand why you're bantering to them. They're like, we have to shoot. If they don't, I'm like, but if somebody is misbehaving, you tell them off. There has to be checks and balances. There's a production that I was on when actors started misbehaving. EP appeared on set sharply. He didn't have a word with them in public. I had a word with them one-on-one, day to day. And when they saw there was a particular person that kept on, and his crew had been complaining, he upscaled it too. The network wrote to the person. Person realigned herself straight. You don't do that. You're not in your house. You signed a contract. And if you've had work experience in the industry, then you know what obtains. Time is the greatest delay on any set, no matter how professional it is. You already know that as an actor. So why are you throwing a tantrum?
You said something to me back then about working with Egoboyo. Would you like to say it again?
So in I was looking for some documents and I saw the letter again. I think it was in 2015. She did the first Nigerian silent movie, A Hotel Called Memory. And she called me and said, that she had a small role for me, and she didn't have much in terms of money to pay, but they were going to put me up for the day, and then they will feed me, and then they'll transport me to and fro to set. I'm like, okay. So of course, I went back to my husband, I was like, this money I'm not going to do this thing. My husband said to me, he said, life is not all about money. See, you should know that. I'm like, but this hotel that they're going to put me up, they should just convert that. He said, can you just please enjoy the experience of how they want to treat you as an actor? So I was like, oh, right, okay. So I went, we signed the documents, blah, blah, blah. My part at the end was a very tiny part. All I had to do was sit down and cry like my whole world had come to the end. But not only did they, so all I had to do was drive myself to the hotel where it was a small, quaint boutique hotel. Her PA, or the person then who was in charge of the actors, was so, I had to tell the girl that she should relax. That it's okay, I'm fine. I said, do you like the room? If you don't like the room, we can change it. I said, it's not just this night. She said, but the other actor had come. I was like, it's okay. It's for one night. The room is fine. Okay, when I'm ready to eat, you'll come back. It was like, I was like, this pampering is okay. I can get used to this. It was really nice. And then wardrobe was taken care of, makeup was taken care of. They had let us know what the schedule was. We had looked through the schedule. The only thing was in the end, so we first shot on the island and we're going back to the mainland. And I live on the mainland. So I now said, it didn't make sense to follow the crew bus to the mainland, and then come back to the island to now pick up my car. Is it okay to drive behind you guys? And then when we're done, and they were like, okay. But it was a really lovely experience for me. And then we also had, director was Akiyomotosho. Stella. He works out of South Africa, he still does. As in, it was one of my best experiences. And I really treasure the fact that somebody who had probably only seen me on stage once thought that she was doing a movie that was going to be groundbreaking and gave me a part in it. Stella. The other person that I use as a yardstick for my jobs is James Omokwe of Fimo. And he was the one who did Itura. They're fair. They're very thorough. And they do not beat around the bush. They do not beat it. Very professional. So I still use that. I use that. So anybody that comes to me, I use that as a yardstick. Are you as good as this person? And I also go back and give feedback. So after I've done the experience and blah, 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 first thing I ask each person. So I can ask the cameraman, what did you think? How did you think I did? I asked the executive producer, was it what you expected? How could I ask questions. And then I now say, hey, okay, so this is now my own feedback of my experience.
Okay, so what are those you won't work with again?
And normally I do not do that, but because my experience is different from somebody else's experience. But on a particular production, all the actors had the same experience. It was horrible. But because you have signed a contract, you will do your own bit, irrespective, right? And make sure that they see that you are a professional. But you see those particular people, if they like, let them come and offer me the Eiffel Tower. Never, because a chameleon is not a chameleon. A leopard does not change its spots. If you behaved a certain way 7 years ago, and you're still doing the same thing now, you're not going to, in 2 years, you will still be doing the same thing. So let me just save myself the heartache. And you are not God, so you cannot block my shine.
Okay, so you said that you came back to the industry in 2021?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
So like I said before, acting was never on the radar. It was something I did for fun. I could do it, and I did it. So I read architecture in University of Jos, but I spent my life in the theatre arts department. So any free time, because there was a really beautiful amphitheatre in Jos, and I just loved to go and watch, and get to know the people. So all them Freda Mata, them Ireti Doyle, Agatha Martha, they were all in Uni Jos at that time, and I just thoroughly enjoyed that experience. So it was never, my plan was read architecture, work in the architectural field. Acting was not it. But in the process, so I did read architecture. I started working in architecture. From architecture, I moved to interior design. And then I now decided that I wanted to go to the States. And the person I went to meet was like, it's not that easy. And I'm like, yeah, but all your children are in the States. So how hard can it be? And he goes, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a letter to go to Raymond Dokpesi. And I'm like, who's that? It was like AIT. Meanwhile, my father, anytime I'm reading something, my father would just tell me that, maybe you should become a newscaster. I was like, newscaster? Read the news. No way, I can't read the news. It's too boring. But I idolized Siene Razak Lawal, Ruth Benemesia Ope. I thought they were at Modele Sharafa Yusuf. Oh, as in these people, I was like, But I read the news. You just sit down there, it's not going to work. Anyway, so I took the letter to Dokpesi. I'd also met Kenny and D1 before this, and because D1 lived opposite me in Ibutemeta. I took the letter to Dokpesi, and he sent me to Ladi Lawal. And Mr. Lawal said, he looked at it, looked at the letter, looked at my CV and said, I don't understand why you want to work for us. I said, well, I wanted to actually go abroad, but the person that I went to meet said that I should. I said, we can't afford to pay you what you were earning from where you were coming. In the interior design firm, I was earning 14,000 naira. So I went from architecture where I was earning 2,000 naira a month to 14,000 naira a month in an interior design firm. And then AIT offered me 8,000 naira. Now, this is 1990, I think 1998. My mom had just died. My father was retired. I'm the first child. None of my siblings were working yet. My brother, I think he was in his final year in university or just finished. So it was youth service. So of course, the ones below him, there's no way they would have finished school. And I remember D1 saying to me, he said, I don't understand why you want to work in AIT. Do you see any of my siblings there? I'm like, I don't understand what's wrong with you. What do you mean by do I see any of your siblings there? I mean, he now goes, you won't get your first salary in the first 3 months. I was like, yeah, look at you. I mean, look at you. And it was like, don't look at me. I'm like, okay, you know. I didn't get my first salary till 3 months after. And there was a lot going on in Daar communications. I couldn't understand it. Anyway, they posted me to television. I got the job on the spot. And I started working in television. I also had a hard time in television because there was English speaking, looking hot. And they were like, nah, we cannot allow this girl to thrive. And I thought to myself, these people don't understand that. I'm not their mates. My first friend in AIT TV was Iyanda Awuru. She used to be the producer for Lunch Break. And people will go behind her and meet her. And she cannot talking to her. So I think I'd complained to Kenny and D1 that they were not, all I was doing was reviewing CDs and videos. So I'd come to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Alagbado from Budemeta. You know, the first person after me will come in at 10. And all I'm doing is watching videos. And Kenny was like, okay. You know what? You'll do nights. You'll train with Sule Elams. You'll learn how to use the console. So I was like, okay. So I looked towards that. I started doing that. And they're like, you can't reach that. Kenny gave me a 5-hour belt on radio on Friday from 12 noon to 5 p.m. A nobody, a novice. There were people who had been working in AIT longer than me. And people didn't, in radio, if you mispronounced the word, somebody from news would just come and say, next time, please, when they give you the script, come and meet us and we'll help you so you can. So they were willing to help me grow. It was after that that I appeared on TV. After I worked in AIT, I did 1 year in AIT. I left because I hadn't been paid in 6 months. And there was no way, I was not going to do what other people were doing. I'm not going to take money from agencies. My father was still like, well, we're going to tell him that I stole money from somewhere because they have not paid my salary. I couldn't do it. So my sister now said, why don't you start tailoring? Because I've been tailoring since I was 10. I was like, tailoring, chasing people for money. But AIT opened the door for acting. So you meet people in the industry because they always coming to AIT, coming to RayPower because they wanted interviews, they wanted to promote their work. And that was how acting came into. But I dumped it and went because tailoring in Imofe. So I went into tailoring, very successful for the first 10, 12 years. But I was very bad at business. So I didn't know how to manage my money. So I had to shut down my business for a while. And then re-register as a limited liability company. And then I now started putting processes in place and blah, 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 blah. So that's how, but I faced that acting. Tailoring, I beg your pardon. I'd also been a makeup artist. So I started just before Banker and Tara started. So we're the first 3 sets makeup people that used to do makeup for brides. But I faced my tailoring. And then I thought, okay, so let's start looking for, as you're getting older, you need something that is less physically demanding. And that's how I started looking into, let me go back into acting. And the first job I got was Itura. So, that was a really beautiful platform to come back.
How did you get the Itura job?
So there were auditions. They asked for, this was just after COVID, and there were still some restrictions in place. So there were no physical auditions. I somehow saw it online. I do not know how, but I saw it. And I'd worked with James before. So I used to have a cooking show on YouTube. And this was a collaboration between a classmate of mine who's a lawyer, is James. She's an entertainment lawyer. So she knows James Omokwe. And she was like, you know what, I think the 3 of us can come together and do a cooking show. So I will bring my legal skills. James will bring his production skills. You will bring your cooking skills. And I was supposed to market it, and I'm horrible at marketing, and sell it and blah, blah, blah. That didn't work. But we did 7 episodes. Stellar production, as in his production. So when I saw the audition and I saw that he was behind the production house, I sent him a message and I said to him, I said, I'm going to audition for this. I just wanted you to know. And I'm not telling you because I want you to choose me. I just want you to know that I'm going to audition. So when you see the tape, you know that I'm auditioning. And he was like, he knows how many people have come to him and said, you know, I'm really good at this too. So he did come out and say, yeah, he knows her, but he didn't, when it was time to choose, he did not. He didn't. So they were like, do a self-tape, send it in. And I did that. So I auditioned, I sent in my self-tape, and then they sent me a script and asked me to audition for a particular part. So I auditioned for that part. And then they now sent me another script for another part. So what I found out was when I got on set that the first part that they gave me, the lifespan of the character was very short. The second part that they gave me, I was there for, I think, so it was a 260 episode series. I think I did 170 episodes. So obviously they saw something. And then when they sent that second part, they said to me that, well, the first one, they said, oh, so when you're doing the self-tape, do like you're on set. I had to call James. I said, I don't understand. What do you mean by I should do? He said, so set the stage like you're on set. I turned my sewing room upside down. I said the place like I was on set. I'm like, what? And then I recorded with my laptop and my phone. And then I told them, I said, you know, I don't know. Then I didn't know anything about editing. I said, I don't know how to edit it together. So I'm just going to send you guys the truth. And I got the word that they called me back. So somebody that has been very instrumental in guiding me in my acting journey is Funola Ofiebi. And I cannot thank her enough. Because every time somebody comes to me, I go to Funola. And I'm like, okay, Funola, this person has come. They said this, they've said this. What should I do? Without any... Funola she just opens up herself to me, and she continues to do so. And it's not something that you find in the industry, right? Because there were a few people that I have known for years who have been acting even before I even thought about acting. So Funola has always been, she has an open door policy for me. It doesn't matter how busy she is. It doesn't matter what she's doing. It doesn't matter what's going on in her life. With this acting journey, Funola is my greatest, aside from my family. And Funola is family. I've known Funola since my AIT days. And that is very rare in the industry. Very, very rare. People view each other as competition. And I have actually mentioned it to a couple of people when I first thought, okay, you know what, I think I want to come back into acting. When I mention acting and I say I'm looking for opportunities, if I send a message, that message never gets responded to. But if I send another message on something entirely different, I get a response. And I'm like, I can't take your shine. The fact that I'm coming to you is because you've been there. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to, you know, say, okay, do this. So for me, what I do for people, so I now have, I always save people's numbers. So once I save your number, there's a label. Are you an actor? If an opportunity comes to me, even if I'm going to vie for that opportunity, I spread the word. Because you never know who's going to get it, right? And just because you don't get it doesn't mean that somebody else should not have an opportunity to, you know, take a shot at it. And we've got to look at life like that. It's not a dog. I wasn't raised that way. It's not a dog eat dog. Because when you eat the dog, and then what? But if you give somebody else an opportunity, I mean, it's a plus. Even if you don't get it. There was something I auditioned for. And the network came back and said, oh, that because I was already on Dust. They didn't. When I saw the first episode and I saw the people that they chose, I went back to the producer and I said to them, I said, I'm really glad for the choices that they chose. I said, because these people truly embody. The persons came back to me, I said, but you were really good as well. But I said, you don't need to, I know I'm good. I said, but these people are doing what, they fit the role. And then I now went back, because I know one of the actors personally, and I went back to that actor and I said, it's amazing, because she was on Dust. I'm like, it's like chalk and cheese. You are so good at what you do. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so very much. If somebody's doing a phenomenal job, say they're doing a phenomenal job. Is it changing the color of my skin? No. Is it going to stop the opportunity that's come my way? No.
Thank you very much. I was almost going to call you Coco because that is the name I knew you
Star Wars chat hits.
from AIT, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, but okay, thank you very much. What happened to the name Coco? You dropped it.
It was a name for a particular program. It's not mine. It was the owners of the program that gave us the name. So there was no way that I was going to use it.
Okay, so okay, I'm going to scratch that part of the interview. Thank you very much, Eyiyemi.